Hi, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim. I'm Tim, and today I'm going to give you my full review of the Hoka Carbon X 2. Now, before I get into it too far, I always like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in these shoes. And to do that, I'm out at my local state park. This is one of my favorite places to train. They have all kinds of surfaces to run on. They have some rustic trails, some hard-packed dirt, concrete, pavement, you name it. Take your pick. It's an opportunity for me to really try these shoes out in a lot of different environments so I can give you a good assessment about their performance. So, as soon as I return from this run, we're going to sit down together and we're going to take a real deep dive into Hoka Carbon X 2 to see if it's the right shoe for you. Now these cost 180 US dollars. Not terrible. They come in at 8.4 ounces for a men's size 9 on my scales, or that'd be the equivalent of 239 grams. They are a neutral road shoe. They're a racing shoe. They're carbon plated, but they can do so much more. I have taken these out on a variety of different workouts, and I think they're a good, versatile, all-around shoe that you can take out pretty much at any speed. They felt comfortable when I was out running. They felt good on a lot of different surfaces. They are a road shoe, as I mentioned, but they do fine on hard-packed gravel too. So I think the versatility is there. I think if you were looking to buy just one shoe, this could be it. You can train in it, you can race in it. At 8.4 ounces, that's a really respectable racing shoe weight. And there's a lot of cushion. These can go the distance and keep you comfortable. So let's just dive in. We'll talk about, see how these shoes have been holding up over the last 50 miles. And let's start with the upper. One of the things that I was concerned about initially when I reviewed the shoes is that it has a bit of a bunching up at that toe box area, and that really hasn't gone away. It still bunches up there on me. That's probably just for me and my fit. You might not have that issue. But I do tend to have that same concern with a lot of different Hoka shoes. So I think there's just something about the way that they've designed that upper and it fits my foot. It didn't inhibit me from being able to get a good lockdown feeling across that midfoot. So that's a good thing, but aesthetically it just doesn't look terrific, but I guess, that's okay. With the upper, it is a single layer mono mesh engineered upper. I found it to be really comfortable over the last 50 miles. I thought it might even loosen up a little bit. It still does feel a little bit stiff. There's not a ton of stretch or give to it, but that's a good thing in this case, because if there were a lot of give to that upper, like in the Hoka Clifton 7, for example, I think there's just too much stretch there. I always seem like I have to cinch my laces down constantly when I'm out running to continue to get that lockdown feeling if I want that. Because those do tend to loosen up. These do not. I've had really good luck with that. And that was a second concern that I had, beside the bunching, is whether or not this material was going to stretch to the point that my lace enclosure system was going to be pinched together. And that did not happen. So I've been really pleased with that. It has these just a little bit of a plastic overlay with their Hoka logo there, and then in the back of the heel here they've got some plastic as well around there that gives it a little bit of extra structure, and that's held up really well. I haven't had any issues with that. Over 50 miles, I haven't had any comfort issues with these at all. Sometimes if you get a less stretched material or stretchy material in the upper, it can inhibit you through your gait cycle, but I didn't find that to be the case here. Even with the plastic that they have they have plastic that wraps all the way around down to about here. Now it's not super stiff, but it does give the upper some structure, but it didn't, like I said, inhibit my gait when I was running. So that was terrific. These have plenty of padding up around the heel collar and the tab of the shoe. It was perfect for me. I didn't have any issues with that. I've had these out on some decently longer run experiences, so 10 miles plus. I took these out yesterday for a benchmark run for a half marathon training program that I just started. So if you guys are interested, you can check that out. It's just getting underway, and these did terrific. I took them down to my local high school track to do the benchmark run. The benchmark run is you warm up for 2 minutes and you run hard for 5 minutes and then you cool down for 2 minutes. And that 5-minute stretch, I average about a 6:37 mile pace. And for me, that's pretty decent, especially since I'm coming off an ankle injury. So I'll take that. And it has this nice Achilles heel flare here, or this nub or tab, whatever you want to call it. That's really comfortable. I've really come to enjoy that over the last 50, 60 miles that I have on these. And you can use this to help get your shoes on. It doesn't have a pull tab that you can grab a hold of, but this extra heel flare or tab, if you will, does a nice job of giving you a place just to grab a hold of it to slip these on my feet. I didn't have any issues with that at all. There is some structure in the heel, as I mentioned, that helps to stabilize your heel. So if you have an issue of pronation like I do, where you have some overly aggressive ankle roll that I need to be cognizant of when I run, this does give you a little bit of structure. But more importantly, they have this ProFly X foam material that comes up pretty high around your heel. And I've mentioned this before. I liken it to be sitting in the bucket seat of a racing car. So your heel sits down inside that foam that adds some extra stability in terms of pronation. I love that. These are a really stable running shoe for me. So it's one of my favorite carbon-plated racing shoes to run in for that purpose. So let's talk about the midsole foam. Now they've got ProFly X foam here up at the top, and then they have this more durable, dense EVA foam for the outsole material that they're using. One of the biggest differences between this version and the first version, the Carbon X or the SBE, which is what I have, is they moved that carbon fiber plate down, and they put it basically between this yellow foam and then the ProFly X foam that they have here. And what that did is it gave you a much softer feeling underfoot when you're out running. It just feels terrific. It feels like they've got a ton more cushion there than they really do. And so what that means for us is it's just way more comfortable than the first version of the shoe. So if you didn't like that first version because you felt like there just wasn't enough cushion there, simply moving the plate down helped. Plus they've reformulated this ProFly X material to make it softer underfoot as well. So lots of cushion, lots of responsiveness. I typically midfoot strike when I'm running, but there are times when I kind of fall back on my heels, and I found that to feel really natural and comfortable when I did that. So that's terrific. So I think this shoe is going to be really versatile for a lot of different runners. So if you heel strike, midfoot strike, or forefoot strike, you're going to find this shoe to fit, I think, really well and give you a nice smooth experience as you run through your gait cycle. I liken it to pedaling a bicycle, just how smooth that is. They have a lot of foam. They got 39 millimeter stack height in the heel and 20 or 39 and 34 in the forefoot for a 5 millimeter offset. That's pretty typical for Hoka, that 5 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. They have a nice big landing platform back here in the heel. That adds to the stability of the shoe. And if you just look at the overall platform of the shoe, and again, this is pretty typical of Hoka as well, they've got a nice big landing platform, especially for a racing shoe. And that also adds to the stability. And again, when I talk about stability, I talk about pronation in the shoes. So very responsive, very comfortable, smooth through my gait cycle. I don't know that I can say enough about just how smooth the shoe is. It's one of my favorite shoes to run in these days. I've got a long run coming up on Friday, and these are the shoes that I'm going to be taking out on that run experience for me. Now, as we look at the outsole, over 50 miles, it's held up pretty well. I did notice, and I think it's on the other shoe, but I'll zoom in on that and give you a good look. But there are times when I pick up stones or pebbles, and it does seem to cut into that EVA foam on that outsole. So that's a little bit of a concern for me because, I want these shoes to last, and I really want to get 400 miles out of them if I can. I have, somewhere between 50 and 60 right now on them, and they look and feel like they're doing terrific. I just don't want that outsole to get chewed up with stones. So that's my only concern going forward. So I think maybe when I get 100 miles on these, I'll review these again just to check on that outsole, or just do a quick update, maybe with another video. Maybe I won't do an entire one, but just to give you kind of a good idea of how that outsole is holding up over even more miles later on down the road. Hey, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making it for you. Thank you for making it to the end. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.